some people are getting to the points where the Reds keep getting brought up for a lot of different names. And, some people are like, oh, we're tired of hearing the Reds name just involved in it. They need to pull the trigger. We've talked about they went out and they got a Terry Francona. You get the qualifying offer done for Nick Martinez.
Montana.
You moved on. You get Brady Singer and add him to the rotation. They were in, or still may be in, on Garrett Crochet from the White Sox. I know that the Red Sox are involved in this conversation now, as were the Chicago Cubs. So it's not like that door is shut. But what I'm happy to hear is that they're in on Garrett Crochet, but also looking at guys that can come in and make an impact in the lineup, as we've talked about. Paul Goldschmidt, I can't remember if you were here for the Paul. Yeah, you were. So we had the Paul Goldschmidt conversation last week, but a lot of different names. And what's key is a lot of different positions. It's not like the Reds are just, they're not telling you that we are 1,000,000% satisfied with our infield. We are not 1,000,000% satisfied with our rotation. They're making moves that we're like, man, I didn't think they needed to go add another starting pitcher, but here they are. Man, I didn't think they needed to tinker with the infield too much, but yet here they are. When you hear the name Josh Naylor pop up, and you look at some of the names that are popping up, obviously with the Guardians, a couple names that are popping out there, what does that name do to you guys? How exciting is that potentially for the Reds to might be able to get a deal done to bring him in to make an impact at first base?
Any of these names is a big deal to me because I didn't think, given the TV situation, that we'd be able to sign anybody. So the fact that looks like we're putting our name in the barrel and pretty much every single one of these free agents, it means a lot to me. It means that at least they're trying. Now, they got to sign somebody. So until they sign somebody, it's just, it's whatever. But
I was going to say, how much credit do we give them on opening day for the same roster but being attached to all these guys?
Yeah, then it becomes zero. But as long as they're openly trying.
No, I don't think it's zero.
Do you think they're leaking? Do you think they're leaking?
I don't think they're trying on all these guys.
You think?
I just don't.
You think Kral's leaking it?
And maybe they are. But trying's the wrong word. I'm sure they're on the phone. I'm sure they're calling these agents, sure they're talking to these players. I don't think they're actually in the hunt for all of these big name players. I never know.
I believe, because that's come out that they're a finalist to get.
No, I know. I agree, but
didn't they say he was out?
No, I've seen that, and then I saw that they were closer than they've ever been after that tweet. So who knows?
That's valid too. It's
all over the place, and then especially if you're going up against the Red Sox, who were listed as the second finalist for Soto at the end, or third, I guess they finished behind the Yankees as well. But if they're the ones going in there, they have the number one farm in baseball. They're itching to spend some money. I don't know. I don't think it's setting up great for the Reds to get a ton of these big names, but certainly is refreshing to be attached to them. How many off seasons in a row have they not been? It's great to have them try. I would like to see a couple go through the hoop before I really start celebrating this offseason.
Yeah, I'm not going to victory lap it. I'm just saying it's at least some positive to take away, that it appears that they're given the illusion that they're making effort in the next season.
I've seen a lot of people turn their nose up at Naylor because they think, I guess, CES is the no-brainer first baseman in their opinion. I just don't, and I think Kirby actually had that take as well, that Naylor might not make sense unless you think CES or Candelario can play third. And I just don't know that you should go into opening day with CES as your, handing him that first base spot. I would love to go get Josh Naylor. I think he's a pretty good defender, and he's a borderline elite bat. I think he'd be an awesome first baseman.
People know my stance on CES. I'm a critic, to say the least. I'm not saying he can't be a good player. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying forcing him to be one next year can't be the correct solution to winning baseball games. He can be great. 3 years from now, he could be the best first baseman in the league. But coming into next season, we tried it, and it didn't work. I'm not saying give up. I'm just saying let's halt it, or at least slowly work up to him being the Reds' starting first baseman, and go to a Naylor, go to a Paul Goldschmidt. Give us a temporary solution so CES can develop and get better. Same thing with Noelvi Marte. I'm not out on these guys, but next year there is desperation. There is a 3-year window with Terry Francona, maybe 4. A 3-year window with Elly De La Cruz, because God knows the Reds aren't paying him. If you have a limited window, why are we trying to force guys to be better than they are? It doesn't make sense to me right now. You have the ability to sign a free agent, a first baseman, that's going to give you more than what CES is going to give you. And maybe you can say, well, you don't know that. You don't know what CES is going to be. And that's fine. You could say that. I just know when he was up last year, he was one of the worst qualified baseball players in Major League
I
Baseball.
don't think he was one of the worst.
I think he was the
I
worst.
think he was the worst.
I know he was hurt. I know it. I'm aware that he was injured. But I'm just saying you don't need to force that next season. You can force it in 3 seasons down the line, in 2 seasons down the line. But next year, I want to try to win baseball games. It was very evident that you can't win solely based on what you think these prospects can be. It's hypothetical. You don't play hypothetical baseball. That's not what good front offices do. Well, Noelvi Marte could be really, really good. CES could hit 40 home runs a season. That's not why you build a roster. That's not how you do it. Do you want to develop him? Sure. I'd like him to be on the Major League roster. I'd like him to get at-bats. But he doesn't have to start every single game for me to sit here and say the CES is going to be some great player down the line. He can be. But let Paul Goldschmidt, let somebody else, let Santana, I don't care who it is, let somebody else take the first baseman spot. And if CES surpasses him during the regular season, then he passes him. Great. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have.
I would love to see Naylor get signed here and CES proves that he's a better first baseman. I would love it. But I wouldn't love having CES come up, be bad, and not having a backup. That's what I don't want.
So, and the one thing, too, is you're heading into a season where we feel like there's expectations and we feel like this team is going to be more than just competitive. You know, we always say that we just want this team to be competitive. No, we don't, because when the team's competitive and wins 86 games and misses the playoffs, that's competitive, by the way. 500 record, you know, that's competitive technically, right? We want them to be more than just competitive. But I don't know if you could do that heading into a season where especially if you just look at the infield by itself. I hope McClain stays healthy. I hope Marte can actually play at third base. I hope Christian Encarnacion Strand can play first base and hit. I just don't know if you can go in with that many question marks. And if Naylor provides you we know Naylor could play at first. We know when McClain is healthy, we know he could play second. We know, of course, what you get with Ellie. I think you want to try to knock off you want to try to answer as many question marks as you can heading into the offseason. And if you end up creating a problem where Christian Encarnacion Strand's playing really well and you have Naylor, well, that's a good problem. Figure that out. And that's why you have Terry Francona. But I don't think it'll ever be a problem to where we're panicking like, man, you have Christian Encarnacion Strand playing well and Naylor. At that point, I don't care. That's a good problem to have when it's
a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But you can't rely solely on the prospects. You can't do it. It can't
you can if you're rebuilding, but they're not rebuilding, right?
I don't think they're rebuilding anymore.
Yeah.
I think they're past the rebuilding stage. Because I don't even know what they would be rebuilding to. You have 3 years of Terry Francona. It's win now. You have to win now. And you don't pay Nick Martinez whatever you paid him, $21 million, right? I mean, you don't bring in Brady Singer for Jonathan India. If I'm the Reds, I look at these next 3 years as a Kansas City Royal run. I say this year, we're just going to try to be better than we were last year. We're going to try to make the postseason. It's a weak division. You have a chance. Next year is when I'm going to say, and that's the 2026 season, is when I would say, all right, it's make or break. We need to win the division. Let's go. So if they don't go all in, quote unquote, this season, I'm okay with that. But knowing you have to do that either next year or 2027. That's what you have to do. CES can be a part of those teams. He should be a part of those teams in the future. But next year, we just need to be better. And being better doesn't include the same exact recipe as last year. We're just going to hope and pray Marte and CES and McClain and every one of these young guys is able to replicate one half good season.
All right, and like I was, hope is not a game plan. I'm not a big. Well, we just hope that these guys get better from one year to the next. You can hope that those guys do that while also adding guys that can come in and make an immediate impact and help improve your roster right off the bat.